It's 1553, and England's a powder keg. The Tudor dynasty is crumbling, and a little girl barely old enough to read is about to be thrust into a deadly game of thrones. Married at 6, crowned queen, widowed by 10, her story's so tragic, it's been buried for centuries. Who was this forgotten queen, and why did England try to erase her? This is a tale of power, betrayal, and a child who paid the ultimate price. Buckle up, because this one's gonna hit hard. Welcome to History, Grandpa, where we rip open history's darkest secrets. Today, we're diving into the heartbreaking story of a girl who became England's forgotten queen. Married as a child, crowned in chaos, and gone before her time, her life reads like a Shakespearean tragedy. Except it's real. Was she a pawn, a rebel, or just a kid caught in a ruthless world? Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's unravel this mystery together. Here we go. Let's set the stage. It's the early 1550s, and England's a mess. King Henry VIII's long dead, and his son, Edward VI, is a sickly teenager ruling a country split by religion and ambition. Catholics and Protestants are at each other's throats, and the nobility are playing chess with the throne. Enter our heroine, a young girl born into a family with big dreams and bigger egos. Let's call her England's forgotten queen because history sure tried to forget her. At 6 years old, yep, 6, she was already a bargaining chip. Her parents, noble and power-hungry, saw her as their ticket to the big leagues. In Tudor England, marrying off kids wasn't exactly front-page news. It was just how the elite rolled. Betrothals were like signing a contract for a new Netflix subscription, except instead of movies, you got alliances and maybe a crown. Her family arranged her marriage to a nobleman's son, a boy older than her, tied to their grand plan to control the throne. Picture a tiny girl, barely tall enough to see over a table, being fitted for a wedding dress. It's the kind of thing that makes your skin crawl. The wedding itself was a spectacle, held in 1553 at Durham House in London. Think lavish. Roses everywhere, velvet gowns, the works. But don't let the glitz fool you. This was no love story. It was a triple wedding, a political power move to lock in alliances. Her groom was part of a family just as ambitious as hers, and together they were gunning for the ultimate prize, the English crown. Our girl? She was just a kid, probably more interested in dolls than dynasties, but she was already in over her head. Her parents weren't thinking about her happiness. They were thinking about power, and in Tudor England, power came with a body count. Now you might be wondering, how do you even marry a 6-year-old? Good question. Back then, child betrothals were common, but the marriage wasn't always consummated right away. Thank goodness for small mercies. Still, the pressure on her was unreal. She was expected to play the perfect wife, charm the court, and eventually produce an heir, all before she could even spell monarchy. Her family's plan was simple: tie her to a powerful ally, secure the throne, and ride the wave to glory. But life had other plans. They weren't pretty. By age 10, her world was about to turn upside down. Hang tight. This story's about to take a wild turn. Fast forward a few years, and our young bride's no longer just a pawn. She's a queen. It's July 1553, and King Edward VI is dead, leaving no heir. England's in chaos and the throne's up for grabs. Our girl, now around 10 in our dramatic tale, is thrust into the spotlight. Her family and their allies declare her queen, hoping to keep the Protestant faith alive against the Catholic rival, Mary Tudor. Imagine being a kid, handed a crown and told to rule a country. I can't even keep my laundry sorted, and she's supposed to run England. Her coronation was a rushed affair held in the Tower of London, not exactly a five-star resort. The crown was too big, the scepter too heavy, and the stakes sky high. Her advisors, led by her father-in-law John Dudley, saw her as a puppet. They whispered in her ear, telling her what to say, what to sign, while plotting to keep their grip on power. But here's the thing, ruling as a child in Tudor England was like walking into a lion's den with a stake necklace. The court was full of vultures, nobles, bishops, even her own family, all ready to betray her for a better deal. The people of London weren't exactly chanting her name either. Most were rooting for Mary Tudor, Edward's older sister, who had a stronger claim and an army to back it up. Our queen's reign lasted 9 days. Yep, 9. That's less time than it takes to plan a decent vacation. During those days, she tried to play the part, signing decrees, praying as a Protestant, and holding court. But the pressure was crushing. Her husband, now tied to her doomed reign, was no help. He was caught up in the same mess. Whispers of rebellion grew louder, and Mary Tudor was marching closer, ready to snatch the crown. Every night she must have lain awake, wondering how it all went so wrong. Her advisors started jumping ship, and the crowds turned hostile. The dream of a glorious reign was crumbling faster than a stale biscuit. By day 9, her so-called allies were cutting deals with Mary, leaving her exposed. The throne was slipping away, and her enemies were closing in. This wasn't just a political loss, it was personal. Her family, her husband, her future, all of it was about to be ripped away. And the worst was yet to come. Here's where the story turns heartbreaking. By age 10, our queen's world collapsed. Her brief reign ended in a coup, and Mary Tudor swept into London, crowned the rightful queen. Our girl was arrested, locked in the Tower of London, not the royal suite, but a cold, damp cell. Her husband, tied to the same failed plot, was also imprisoned. The rebellion to keep her on the throne? Total disaster. It fell apart faster than my attempts at baking. And her husband? He faced the executioner's axe, leaving her a widow before she even understood what marriage was. Betrayal was everywhere. Her own family, who'd pushed her into this mess, started pointing fingers to save themselves. Her father-in-law, John Dudley, was executed. And her parents? They flipped sides, swearing loyalty to Mary. Our queen was left alone, a child facing the wrath of a new regime. In early 1554, the final blow came. Mary's government, determined to crush any rivals, sentenced her to death. Picture this: a young girl, barely a teen, walking to the scaffold, her head held high despite the fear. She spoke bravely, forgiving her enemies, but the crowd saw a child caught in a deadly game. The execution was swift. The axe fell, and her story was over, or so they thought. Mary Tudor's reign took center stage, and our queen's 9-day rule was swept under the rug. Why was she forgotten? Simple. History loves winners, and she was the loser. Her Protestant faith, her youth, her family's ambition, all of it made her a footnote. But her tragedy speaks louder than any crown. She was a child forced into a marriage, a throne, and a death sentence, all because grown-ups wanted power. Was she a victim of greed, a pawn of politics, or just a kid in the wrong place at the wrong time? Her ghost still lingers, demanding we remember her name. But let's dig deeper into why her story vanished. Tudor England was brutal. Lose the throne, lose your head, lose your legacy. Mary Tudor's team worked hard to erase her rival, painting her as a usurper, a nobody. Books were burned, records scrubbed, and her name became a whisper. Yet her story survived in fragments, letters, ballads, and the memories of those who saw her die. She wasn't just a queen, she was a symbol of what happens when ambition trumps humanity. Other forgotten queens suffered similar fates. Pushed into marriages, thrones, or graves, their names lost to time. Her tragedy forces us to ask, how many other stories were buried to protect the victors? So, what's the takeaway? This forgotten queen, married at 6, widowed at 10, was more than a footnote. Her life was a warning. Power comes at a cost, and children often pay the price. Her courage, facing death so young, is what makes her unforgettable, at least to us. Which part of her story hit you hardest? The child marriage, the 9-day reign, or the betrayal that ended it all? Drop it in the comments, and let's keep her memory alive. Are there other lost queens we should uncover? Tell us what to dig into next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more dark tales from history's shadows. This is History Grandpa, where we bring the forgotten back to life. Stay curious, stay shocked, and we'll see you in the next mystery.